So, what happens when a silent illness is just ignored for nearly 30 years? Well, today we're going to dive into the story of Jacky Lee, a man whose body sent him a wake-up call that was absolutely impossible to ignore, and it all started when he was just a teenager.
That's Jacky, in his own words, feeling decades older than he actually is. It's a single sentence that really captures the heavy price of a long-ignored illness. So how does a young, healthy guy end up feeling like this? His story starts in a place you might not expect.
All right, so this whole story doesn't kick off with some dramatic crisis. No. For Jacky, the illness that would shape his future just showed up. Quietly, almost invisibly, when he was just a kid, really.
So, what exactly are we talking about here? Hepatitis B, it's a viral infection that goes after the liver. Now, for a lot of people, their body fights it off. But for others, like Jacky, it sticks around. It becomes this chronic, lifelong condition that can quietly cause some really serious damage, like liver cancer if you don't keep an eye on it.
And the way he found out was, surprisingly normal. At 18, just starting university, he wasn't feeling sick at all. He discovered he had hepatitis B during a totally routine health check. There were no warning signs, no pain, just a diagnosis on a piece of paper.
Now, you'd think a diagnosis like that would be shocking, right? But in Taiwan at the time, not so much. About 1 in 5 people had hepatitis B. And that widespread reality had a strange effect. It kind of normalized the whole thing. For Jacky, it felt less like a personal threat and more like he was just another statistic.
And that feeling, that this wasn't a huge deal, well, it set the stage for almost 3 decades of inaction. Life just took over. A demanding career, social pressures, and a quiet but really dangerous misunderstanding of the risk he was carrying.
You can really see that long, quiet journey right here on this timeline. A diagnosis at 18, then this huge gap through his 20s and 30s, before a crisis finally explodes in his 40s. So what was going on in all those years in between?
Well, a huge piece of this puzzle was the advice he got from his doctor. The instruction was simple. Just monitor it. No medication, no supplements, nothing. And to a young guy who felt perfectly healthy, that message came through loud and clear. This isn't that serious.
As he launched into a high-pressure career in banking, his lifestyle really didn't help. In Taiwanese business culture, social drinking at big events was just part of the job. The only symptom he ever really noticed was fatigue. But hey, it was so easy to just blame that on long work hours. He felt strong, capable, so he pushed that diagnosis to the very back of his mind.
So for decades, this disease was totally silent. And then, all at once, it started screaming. After years and years of quiet damage, Jacky's body finally sent a signal that was impossible to ignore.
And this was the signal. One day he started vomiting what looked like black blood clots. It was a terrifying and unmistakable sign that something was critically wrong inside his body. So he's rushed to the emergency room, where doctors immediately saw how serious this was. This was no stomach bug, this was a sign of advanced internal bleeding. And this was the price of those 3 decades of unmanaged hepatitis B. The diagnosis was early-stage liver cirrhosis, which is severe scarring of the liver. That silent virus had been relentlessly damaging his organ, and now he was facing a truly life-threatening complication. This crisis was the wake-up call he absolutely needed. A Taiwanese saying actually came to his mind: "I am the family's economic pillar." Realizing his role as the main provider for his family, he knew he had to get serious about his health. Not just for himself, but for them. This was his turning point. He immediately made 3 huge, drastic changes. First, 0 alcohol. Done. Second, he started taking daily medication to finally get the virus under control. And third, he committed to regular exercise. For the first time, he was taking an active role in managing his own health.
But Jacky's story doesn't just end there. His transformation didn't stop with his personal health. This harrowing experience lit a fire in him to advocate for others, to make sure they wouldn't have to learn the same hard way he did.
And there's a really deep personal hope that's driving his advocacy. You see, Jacky's own father had hepatitis C and was completely cured by medication. Witnessing that gives Jacky this powerful conviction that one day a similar cure will exist for hepatitis B too.
So drawing from his own painful journey of falling through the cracks, Jacky has some really concrete ideas for how to fix the system. He imagines a system with proactive text reminders for appointments because he knows just how easy it is to forget. He's pushing for government-funded mobile ultrasound units to reach remote areas and for public health campaigns that stress what he learned the hard way. Monitoring is absolutely critical.
And look, this isn't just about individual health. It's also just smart economic policy. Jace's argument is simple. Proactive care is way less costly for a healthcare system than treating emergencies like cirrhosis or liver cancer down the road. A little bit of prevention really is worth a ton of cure.
Jacky's story is such a powerful reminder that a diagnosis is just the first chapter. It's the follow-through that's everything. And it forces us to ask a really critical question. How can we, as patients, as doctors, as a society, learn to hear these silent stories before they're forced to scream for our attention? Thanks for watching.